5 Signs an elderly person is making eggs harmful. Critical mistakes you must avoid. Have you ever stepped into the kitchen at dawn, cracked a fresh egg into your pan, and felt that small burst of contentment knowing you're about to enjoy a simple, comforting meal? Perhaps you have pictured an older loved one doing the very same, believing they are giving themselves a healthy dose of protein and essential nutrients. The humble egg is indeed celebrated by many nutrition experts. It is budget-friendly, versatile, and loaded with vitamins, minerals, and high-quality protein. Yet there may be hidden pitfalls when it comes to preparing and handling eggs that can lead to health risks, especially for senior individuals who often have more delicate immune systems and specific dietary needs. That is why it's worth looking deeper into exactly how eggs might shift from a nutritional powerhouse into a potential hazard. And in this session, I want to share 5 signs an elderly person may be making these unintentional mistakes that could undermine their well-being. I hope you stay with me until the very end, because while we'll explore potential dangers, we will also discuss practical remedies, from gentler cooking methods to safer storage habits and thoughtful ingredient choices. If you find the information useful, you can help this channel thrive by subscribing, liking the video, or even dropping a comment about your own experiences with egg handling and preparation. I would love to hear how eggs factor into your daily routine or that of an older family member. Picture a classic scene. Your grandmother, someone who has always prided herself on cooking every meal from scratch, carefully placing an egg into a small pot of boiling water or onto a sizzling skillet. It seems so ordinary that we hardly give it a second thought. Yet eggs are more fragile than they appear. Each shell has countless pores that can allow bacteria to slip inside if the shell is cracked or if they are not stored properly. Eggs are also highly sensitive to temperature, meaning that how you cook them can produce very different outcomes, not only in flavor and texture, but in health impact too. These small details, which many of us overlook, can be crucial for older adults whose bodies may not bounce back from illness as quickly as younger individuals. So let us dive in. Consider this an invitation to reevaluate the seemingly mundane task of egg preparation with fresh eyes and heightened awareness. The first sign that eggs could be turning harmful involves cooking them at extreme temperatures until they are visibly overdone. You might have seen eggs fried to a crisp with the edges browning or even blackening in the pan. Perhaps you yourself enjoy that crunchy texture. Maybe you've boiled eggs so long that a grayish-green ring appears around the yolk, accompanied by that strong sulfuric odor when you slice one open. These visual cues might seem minor or might even be part of a preferred taste. However, nutrition experts caution that this overcooking process triggers oxidation, which can convert the natural fats and cholesterol in the egg into harmful byproducts. The reaction itself is subtle. You won't necessarily see a puff of smoke or an immediate sign of danger, but inside the egg, chemical changes are happening that reduce the overall nutritional value. High heat can degrade delicate vitamins such as B12 and antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, which are highly beneficial for eye health and cognitive support in seniors. Even more concerning, cholesterol can become oxidized, potentially fueling inflammatory processes in the body that are connected to conditions like atherosclerosis and heart disease, both of which are more common as we grow older. A prime illustration emerges in the experience of Robert, a 76-year-old retiree who had always believed that frying eggs on high heat was an easy way to achieve that nicely browned edge. Over many years, he enjoyed that slightly charred taste, thinking it was just a harmless preference. Yet he began to notice persistent indigestion, a heavy feeling after breakfast, and general fatigue by midday. One of his neighbors, who had studied nutrition, suggested lowering the heat on his stove and cutting back on the cooking time. Within weeks, Robert noticed less bloating, more energy, and fewer complaints after breakfast. A small shift in cooking style ended up making a significant impact on how he felt throughout the day. If you or someone you know has a similar approach, you might consider gently scrambling eggs over medium heat, poaching them, or boiling them only until the yolk is set without turning it chalky. These simple adjustments can help preserve the vitamins eggs are known for, while reducing the potential for forming harmful substances that tax an older adult's cardiovascular system. If you've ever been curious about whether those dark edges could be detrimental, consider giving this gentler method a try. You might sense a positive difference in how you feel. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you or a family member have noticed any changes after altering your cooking method. Our second sign that eggs might be more harmful than helpful pertains to the practice of consuming them raw or undercooked. This could happen when making recipes like homemade mayonnaise, certain dressings, or even when tasting raw cookie or cake batter. Some people also believe that raw eggs provide superior nutrition, perhaps for muscle building or overall health. However, in older populations, the potential threat of salmonella infection should be taken very seriously. An elderly immune system is not as resilient as a younger one, meaning that foodborne pathogens can cause more severe or prolonged illness. Margaret, a 68-year-old, used to swear by the energy boost she felt when she blended a raw egg into her morning smoothie. For a long while, it seemed perfectly fine, until one harrowing week when she was hit with sudden abdominal cramps, vomiting, and fever. Laboratory tests confirmed salmonella, leading her doctor to recommend strict bed rest, antibiotics, and caution around raw foods. She was shocked because she had assumed that careful grocery store selection was enough to keep her safe. Salmonella, though uncommon, can contaminate eggs either through the shell or even inside if the hen was infected. This risk might be relatively small for a healthy younger individual, but it can pose a significant hazard for older adults. Another lesser-known issue with raw egg whites is the presence of abidin, a protein that binds to biotin, a B vitamin essential for skin, hair, and nervous system health. When eggs remain raw, abidin can interfere with the body's ability to absorb biotin properly. By cooking eggs thoroughly, scrambling them until firm, boiling them until the yolks are no longer runny, or using pasteurized eggs, you neutralize abidin and minimize the risk of bacterial contamination. If you have a parent or grandparent who likes their eggs sunny side up, you might encourage them to cook them just a bit more thoroughly or opt for pasteurized eggs. That way, they can still enjoy the taste with fewer concerns. It might feel like a minor shift in taste or texture, but it can have major implications for overall well-being in older age. If you have personal stories about raw or runny eggs causing trouble, feel free to share in the comments. Your experience might help someone else avoid a bad situation. The third sign emerges from improper handling and storage of eggs once they have been cooked. We often assume that once an egg is boiled, scrambled, or fried, the primary danger has passed. However, cooked eggs, especially when left out at room temperature, can become a breeding ground for bacteria if not refrigerated promptly. Guidelines from public health organizations such as the CDC advise placing perishable foods, including cooked eggs, in the refrigerator within 2 hours, and if the ambient temperature is high, the window shrinks to about 1 hour. In older adults who could already be dealing with digestive sensitivity or a compromised immune system, ingesting eggs that have been sitting out too long may lead to unpleasant gastrointestinal distress. This becomes even more relevant in meal prepping situations, something that many older folks do to save time. George, who is 72, got into the habit of cooking a large batch of scrambled eggs on Sundays for the entire week. He stored them in a loosely covered container, pulling out a portion each morning to reheat. Initially, it seemed like a smart way to ensure a quick breakfast, but after a couple of weeks, he noticed recurrent episodes of cramping and nausea. A closer look at his practices revealed that the eggs weren't properly cooled before entering the fridge, and they sometimes stayed longer on the counter while he was busy with other tasks. Once George switched to preparing smaller batches, transferring the cooked eggs into airtight containers, and refrigerating them promptly, his symptoms subsided. It's also critical to note that eggs can easily pick up contaminants from other foods in the refrigerator if stored incorrectly. Placing cooked eggs on a shelf above raw meats, for instance, can lead to dripping or splashing that transfers bacteria onto the eggs. For seniors who might have memory issues or simply lack awareness of cross-contamination protocols, a gentle reminder can be invaluable. You might label containers clearly with dates, ensure that the fridge temperature is consistently below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and encourage a practice of, when in doubt, throw it out. By maintaining this level of diligence, older adults can continue to benefit from the convenience of meal prepping eggs without encountering nasty bacterial surprises. If you want to share how you manage your fridge organization or leftover strategy, I welcome you to do so. There is always something to learn from others' practical experiences. Sign number 4 revolves around using eggs that show signs of damage or that may have surpassed their prime. Sometimes these flaws are not obvious at first glance. A hairline crack might let bacteria slip inside the egg undetected, or the egg might be slightly older than recommended, creeping toward the end of its shelf life. Labels on egg cartons can be helpful, but they are not always foolproof. A popular and reliable method for checking egg freshness involves placing the egg in a bowl of cold water. If it sinks and rests horizontally, it's fresh. If it stands on one end, it is still usable but nearing its expiration. If it floats, it is almost certainly past its prime and should be discarded without hesitation. Evelyn, who is 74, learned this lesson the hard way when she noticed a faint sulfur smell after cracking an egg, but proceeded to cook it anyway, dismissing that odor as normal. Later that day, she experienced severe stomach pain and fatigue, forcing her to seek medical help. It turned out she had consumed a spoiled egg. Since then, she does the water test regularly, especially if she's uncertain about how long the eggs have been in her fridge. This quick technique can prevent a great deal of discomfort, not to mention reduce the likelihood of food poisoning or other infections that can be debilitating for older adults. Another factor is proper storage. In many American refrigerators, eggs are placed on the door, where temperatures tend to fluctuate. It might be better to store them on an interior shelf at a cooler, more stable temperature. For older folks who may have memory challenges, clearly marking the carton with the date of purchase can be a simple but effective practice. If you or someone you know has discovered any other tricks to identify spoiled eggs without cracking them, I encourage you to share that knowledge. The more tools we have for spotting unsafe eggs, the safer we can keep ourselves and our loved ones. The 5th sign that can undermine the benefits of eggs for seniors is the choice of cooking oil. A surprising number of people rely on heavily refined vegetable oils such as corn, soybean, or canola oil, typically because they're inexpensive and widely available. Yet these oils often have lower smoke points and can degrade under the high temperatures used for frying, leading to the formation of harmful free radicals and trans fats. Chronic exposure to these unstable byproducts may fuel inflammatory processes in the body. Older adults already face elevated risks of inflammation-driven conditions like arthritis, type 2 diabetes, and heart problems, so reducing inflammatory triggers becomes doubly important. Frank, who is 78, had a long history of using a generic vegetable oil for frying his eggs, partly out of habit, partly out of cost concerns. Gradually, he noticed increased fatigue after meals and a persistent heaviness in his chest. When he stumbled upon articles linking processed oils to cardiovascular strain, he decided to experiment by using extra virgin olive oil for a week, then trying avocado oil the next, and finishing with small amounts of butter in a controlled, gentle heat approach. He was pleasantly surprised by how much lighter he felt after breakfast, not to mention how the flavor became more nuanced. The science behind this is fairly straightforward. Oils with higher smoke points and more stable fatty acid profiles are less likely to break down under heat, preserving both their nutritional benefits and the overall integrity of the meal. Avocado oil, for instance, has a smoke point around 500 degrees Fahrenheit, making it more robust for frying or sautéing. Extra virgin olive oil, while having a moderate smoke point, comes packed with antioxidants and monounsaturated fats that support heart health. Butter, used wisely, can add a comforting richness without bathing the eggs in scorching temperatures. It is not about demonizing certain oils or praising others as miracles, but about acknowledging that seniors in particular benefit from reducing inflammation as much as possible. The right cooking fat is one piece of that puzzle. If you have your own story of switching oils and noticing real improvements, I invite you to share it. Personal experiences can be very illuminating, especially for older viewers who might be uncertain about whether changing oils is worthwhile. It may seem like a lot to keep track of, but in truth, these 5 signs work together to shape whether eggs remain a wonderful option or become a quieter risk. Overcooking leads to oxidative stress on the cholesterol and nutrients. Undercooking invites salmonella, especially in older or immunocompromised bodies. Leaving cooked eggs at room temperature for too long opens the door for bacteria to flourish. Using cracked or expired eggs can introduce contamination, and cooking them in heavily processed oils can fan the flames of inflammation. Each sign on its own might not always lead to immediate harm. Sometimes a person can overcook eggs for years without obvious health complaints, or occasionally eat an undercooked yolk and be fine. Yet as we age, the body becomes less capable of absorbing the impact of these subtle, repeated insults. What was once a negligible risk can compound over time, especially if other health conditions are already present. The beauty here is that most of these mistakes are relatively simple to address, requiring small but meaningful changes in cooking style or handling. Lower the heat or reduce the cooking time. Ensure that eggs are fully cooked, especially if older adults are concerned about immune function. Refrigerate cooked eggs promptly in airtight containers. Conduct an egg freshness test if you're unsure about the viability of your carton, and consider switching to oils that don't degrade as quickly, or at least monitor the temperature so they are not pushed past their limits. These measures do not demand large expenses or a huge overhaul. Sometimes they can even lead to more flavor, better textures, and improved digestion. The simple act of turning down the stove just a notch can mean the difference between a toxic byproduct forming or those beneficial vitamins remaining intact in the yolk. You might wonder about the nutritional benefits you lose by overcooking your eggs. In seniors, the B vitamins are important for nerve function and energy production, and vitamin D is essential for bone health. Cooking at searingly high temperatures can degrade these vitamins, so employing gentle techniques preserves more of them. There is also the matter of antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin, which are particularly beneficial for protecting vision in older age. The difference might not be dramatic in a single meal, but over the course of months or years, that difference can accumulate, influencing how well someone sees or how easily they move without discomfort. Plus, avoiding oxidation helps keep chronic inflammation in check, an ongoing goal for older individuals who want to remain active and independent. If you are supporting someone in their golden years, or if you are in that stage of life yourself, you likely appreciate any strategy that can reduce stress on the body's systems. When it comes to storing eggs, it may help to remember that a refrigerator door is often the warmest part of the fridge. Opening and closing the door throughout the day causes temperature fluctuations. Even though many fridges are designed with an egg rack on the door, it might be wiser to keep your eggs on a lower or middle shelf, deeper inside the fridge. And if you do meal prepping, try labeling containers with the date, especially if memory lapses are a concern. The impetus behind these details is not to be paranoid, but to acknowledge that seniors are at a point in life where bouncing back from a mild illness might take much longer and be riskier than it is for younger individuals. By making these straightforward adjustments, you become proactive instead of reactive, maintaining a safer food environment and hopefully preventing unwanted health scares. Of course, it is crucial to mention that the information shared here is not intended to replace personalized medical advice. If you or a loved one has a specific health condition or dietary restriction, always consult with a qualified healthcare provider. Organizations like the American Geriatric Society, World Health Organization, or the Food and Drug Administration offer more in-depth guidelines for food safety, including how to handle eggs securely. That being said, knowledge is power, and these general principles can go a long way in ensuring a more nourishing egg experience for older adults. For instance, if an individual is dealing with heart disease or high cholesterol, they might benefit from focusing on cooking methods that do not push cholesterol into an oxidized state, such as gentle poaching or steaming. If salmonella risk is a paramount concern, especially for someone with a compromised immune system, then thoroughly cooking the egg or using only pasteurized eggs might be the most prudent approach. Eggs remain a wonderful asset in the diet of many elderly people, partly because they are soft, easy to chew, and adaptable to different recipes. This versatility allows them to be integrated into soups, casseroles, sandwiches, or simply served on their own as a source of protein and micronutrients. However, the potential mistakes we have discussed today can unravel the positive qualities of eggs. That is why it becomes so important to be mindful of how we cook, handle, and store them. If you are watching and thinking about an older adult in your life who might be performing any of these actions, overcooking, undercooking, letting prepared eggs sit out too long, trusting questionable eggs, or using unhealthy oils, take the time to gently share what you have learned. A small conversation can open their eyes to easy changes they can make. And if you yourself are in your senior years, consider these tips a little tune-up on what might already be a well-worn kitchen routine. After all, there is no harm in trying something new if it could spare you from a stomach ache, an infection, or a more serious inflammatory condition down the line. Life is about continuous learning, and that includes evolving how we handle our day-to-day meals. If you have any questions so far, I would love for you to comment. Connecting with your thoughts helps grow our community and ensures these messages reach those who will truly benefit. Let us summarize the 5 signs that might indicate an older person is making eggs harmful. First, there is overcooking, a process that can strip away beneficial nutrients, introduce oxidized cholesterol, and promote inflammation. Second, there is the consumption of raw or undercooked eggs, which poses a real threat of salmonella, especially to a weaker immune system, and also hinders the absorption of certain vitamins because of avidin. Third, we see the danger of leaving cooked eggs unattended at room temperature for too long, which allows bacteria to multiply rapidly. Fourth, there is the risk of using damaged or expired eggs, leading to possible contamination that could manifest as anything from mild discomfort to a serious infection. Fifth, choosing unhealthy oils such as heavily refined vegetable oils can significantly contribute to the buildup of free radicals and inflammatory compounds when eggs are fried at high heat. By being aware of these pitfalls, you can adjust your routine to keep the egg's marvelous nutritional profile intact and safeguard the health of older adults who might be relying on eggs as a staple in their daily diet. I want to remind you that simple cooking adjustments and mindful handling can truly add up. For instance, turning that stove dial just a bit lower, or boiling eggs for closer to 6 minutes instead of 12, or ensuring they go into the fridge right after cooling, or doing a quick water test if you are in doubt about their freshness. Another dimension to consider is your cooking style overall. If you typically use a certain oil for everything, you could try rotating between olive oil, avocado oil, or a small amount of butter. Each of these acts differently under heat and can affect the egg's final composition in subtle but important ways. This level of awareness may seem intricate, but as you settle into these better habits, they become second nature. You start to intuitively sense when an egg is perfectly cooked, or recognize that an egg might be too old, or suspect that the pan is a bit too hot. It all becomes part of a gentle routine that supports better aging and well-being. If you have watched up to this point, I truly appreciate your patience and your desire to learn. I invite you to drop a comment about which sign caught you off guard, or which technique you might try in your next egg dish. Let's keep this conversation alive by sharing anecdotes or asking questions. You can also let me know if you have encountered confusion around topics like raw eggs in mayonnaise, or deciding which oils are best for older individuals who might have compromised cardiovascular health. Such engagement does more than fuel the YouTube algorithm. It builds a sense of community where we can all benefit from collective wisdom. If you are someone who does a lot of home cooking for an older parent or relative, your experiences might guide others who are tackling similar challenges for the first time. Before we close, I want to address a potential question. Do these principles apply strictly to older adults, or should everyone pay attention to them? While this discussion primarily focuses on seniors, because they tend to face greater risk from bacterial infections and chronic inflammation, the truth is that these recommendations benefit people of all ages. Young, healthy individuals might be more resilient, But that doesn't mean they should ignore these best practices. By learning them early and implementing them consistently, you lay the foundation for better long-term health. Over time, small daily habits accumulate, and the difference between mindful cooking and haphazard methods can become more pronounced with each passing year. So if you are younger but caring for an older loved one, or simply wanting to cultivate healthy habits for yourself, these guidelines about cooking temperatures, oil quality, refrigeration, and egg freshness could be just as relevant. As we come to our conclusion, let's reflect on the journey we've shared. We explored 5 critical signs that eggs, often revered as a superfood, might be doing more harm than good in an elderly person's life. We learned about Robert's experience with high-heat frying and how gently cooking improved his digestion, Margaret's ordeal with salmonella from raw egg smoothies, George's misadventures in meal prepping big batches and leaving them exposed to bacterial growth, Evelyn's lesson in ignoring that sulfur smell that indicated a spoiled egg, and Frank's realization that refined oils were wreaking havoc on his system, prompting him to experiment with healthier alternatives. These personal narratives illustrate that, behind every simple choice, lies a deeper impact on health, especially for seniors who deserve the best possible care and consideration when it comes to mealtime. Now, I encourage you to think about how you can apply these insights. Will you switch up your cooking oil? Perhaps try a new brand of extra virgin olive oil or get adventurous with avocado oil. Will you gently lower the heat under your skillet to avoid scorching your eggs? Will you commit to refrigerating leftovers within that critical 2-hour window? Or maybe you'll do the water test each time you open a new carton just to be absolutely sure. One step at a time is all it takes, and you might find that these small changes open your eyes to how other staples are prepared in your home as well. The quest for healthy, safe eating never ends, and every minor adjustment can yield significant benefits over the long haul. If you appreciated this extended discussion, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. These gestures help the channel grow and empower me to continue bringing you comprehensive information tailored to the unique needs of older adults. I encourage you to write a comment about which particular section resonated with you the most. Did you learn something new about salmonella, or about the dangers of letting cooked eggs sit out? Are you now feeling more confident about choosing cooking oils? Your feedback not only guides future content, but also helps other viewers identify solutions to their own egg dilemmas. If you have suggestions for future topics, maybe about specific breakfast ideas for seniors or ways to manage common digestive issues, please let me know. Your input is invaluable. You are helping to create an environment where knowledge is shared to uplift our older generation. I also invite you to check out any references from trusted health organizations if you want to read further. The CDC offers tips on egg safety, and the American Geriatric Society has guidelines on nutrition for seniors. A moment of extra caution in the kitchen can prevent days of discomfort or even a trip to the hospital. Remember, many older folks treasure their independence and do not want to rely on others for small tasks like making breakfast. By guiding them towards safer practices, you empower them to maintain a sense of autonomy while also reducing the probability of foodborne illnesses. That is a worthwhile goal, one that strengthens family bonds and community ties. Thank you for being part of this conversation. I hope that the next time you crack an egg, you do so with greater confidence and awareness, perhaps pausing to double-check its freshness, adjusting your stovetop flame to a more moderate level, or setting a reminder to refrigerate any leftovers right away. These 5 signs can serve as a gentle checklist for ensuring that an elderly person's egg routine remains a source of nourishment rather than a hidden danger. The difference between vibrant health and chronic ailments can hinge on such quiet details. We all have the power to make these small but impactful adjustments, and sharing them with the older adults in our lives can be an act of true care. If you have stayed with me until now, it means you value the well-being of seniors, whether it is yourself or someone close to you. My heartfelt thanks for your attention and engagement. Together, by exchanging stories and insights, we can support each other in making better decisions. Food is not merely about sustenance. It can be a source of comfort, healing, and joy, especially when approached with mindfulness. Let's keep striving for that balance of taste, convenience, and safety. I look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Please remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and consider ringing the notification bell so you'll be alerted when new content arrives. Until next time, take good care of yourself and those around you, and may your eggs always be cooked with the perfect blend of safety, nutrition, and flavor.